You know, this teaching, this path, it truly is for everyone. And so, yes, it may be true that when I was a child, I knew that I wanted to be a priest. I knew I wanted to be a monk, a holy man of some sort. I knew that, and it was really clear in me. But this desire to wake up to something greater, it's in everyone. And it manifests in different ways. You know, for me, you know, I looked up at the night sky and I knew that I was one with this expansive universe. I just knew it. Now, in my human condition, in that little body, when I was a little kid, you know, I didn't feel free all the time. A lot of times I felt scared. I felt alone. I felt isolated. But there was something within me that always wanted something greater. And this is within all of us. Now, for some people, you know, it can come forward in the desire to get high, you know, to do drugs. Because, you know, with drugs is oftentimes there's that feeling of like wanting to escape oneself, wanting to expand into new realities. With other people, you know, they chase after, say, sexual union or relationships, that this relationship will make me greater than what I am currently. You know, I work with a lot of people in Hollywood, and it's funny because there's that, it manifests a different way in the sense of, I want to be a star. You know, because when you're connected with the depth of your divinity, you feel bright, you feel brilliant, you feel as if you're literally a star. You know, sometimes people think of it as being empowered, you know, through being, you know, some great corporate CEO, or, you know, to invent some great thing that changes the world. You know, all these things are simply a desire to wake up to something greater. And so innately, this is in all of us. You know, the other day I was watching this documentary called Mountain, and it was about, you know, just human beings' relationships with mountains. And so, you know, it had rock climbers who were just pushing their limits, you know, the things that we're doing, you know, whether it's on skis, on a snowboard, whether it's climbing mountains, getting to the top of Everest. There's this innate thing within us that wants to expand greater than our everyday, normal, mundane human self. And it's pushing us. And it would be easy for us to say, oh, that's just ego stuff. But if we look at the kernel of truth that's in those desires, it's always about expansion. And so for me, it was, yes, I wanted to be a priest. I wanted to connect fully with God. I wanted to connect fully with the divine, because that's just where my heart led me. But I can also remember, you know, as a child, you know, being on a skateboard and just trying to launch myself through the air and experience that airtime and feel that sense of freedom. You know, as I got older, you know, when I was on a snowboard, I could, you know, fly for, you know, 50 or 60 feet on a snowboard. And there's that sense of just absolute freedom. But what I soon realized was, you know, through whatever extreme sport I was doing, you know, the joy, you know, the sense of freedom, it was only temporary. A lot of times you crashed and burned and it hurt. You know, the same thing is true with people with drugs, you know, whether it's through, you know, smoking marijuana or, you know, doing, you know, more intense drugs or psychedelics is, you know, with a drug, the opening, it has a beginning and normally an end. And so I wanted to open and never stop opening. And so I can remember, you know, this desire to know the truth, to be the truth. It just kept coming forward again and again and again. And I learned early on, like, I wanted the purest form of that. And there wasn't any judgment around it. There was just a sense of, like, you can only get so high, you know, before you stop being able to function in the world. I wanted to, you know, have a heart that was full of love, a mind that was empty and vast and free. I wanted to experience the hugeness of my indestructible nature. And so I just kept pushing myself deeper and deeper into the realms of meditation and practice and retreat time, you know, reading all the books of the great masters. And I came across this little bit of a roadblock where I would read all these books. I mean, I probably read, 1 or 200 books on the great Indian spiritual masters. And my mind would create this image of, okay, Vivekananda, he was a monk, he wore these robes, he had this great teacher, Ramakrishna, that he was destined to be a guru. And when I looked at my ordinary human life, here in the Western world, I identified more with being a punk, like with a skateboard or as a hippie, or, even when I had this deep relationship with my teacher, there was like this unspoken rule I had within my consciousness that, yeah, but I'll never be the great Yogananda. I'll never wear those orange robes. That's not a part of our culture. We're white. We can't, we cannot be a guru. We can't be great like that. When I studied Tibetan Buddhism, there was that same overlying shadow, was that after 10,000 lifetimes, well, then you can wake up. But I had these two incredible teachers. One, my teacher, David, and then two, Adyashanti. And I can even extend this to John Burney as well, is that all three of these teachers, they said, yes, it's possible. It's possible for you. Come into your heart and find this truth. It can happen in an ordinary man, an ordinary woman, with kids, with struggles, with the humanity. We don't have to wear robes. We don't have to be a priest. We don't have to be celibate. And I tried, I can even smile and say I tried. When I was young, I was celibate for 2 years. Trying to put myself in that box of, okay, this is what gurus are. They have zero sexual desire. They're not in relationships with other human beings. They walk on water, and I just realized that my humanity wasn't going to fall away. But one of the great things my teachers gave me was this gift of seeing that my humanity was the doorway into the divinity, not the other way around. The old teaching is you have to not be human, and then you can wake up to your divinity. But if you look in the depth of your heart, you'll find this childlike innocence. If you look, into your mind beyond thought, you'll find vast, spacious emptiness. And if you start to explore your belly, at first you might find, this feeling of like a gripping fear or existential fear, about being fully incarnated here on earth. But once you jump into that fear, when you embrace all of this with love, you don't find more fear, you find greater freedom, greater emptiness, greater spaciousness, greater love and compassion. And so this doorway through the humanity, this is what true Tantra is about. It's about walking through the humanity, seeing the beauty in the humanity, seeing the beauty in this childlike innocence that you are. And soon as you walk in this, as you walk into the arena of the heart, you see that this love, this compassion, this innocence has been here your whole life. You don't have to go to India. You don't have to wear the silly robes. You don't have to dress up and take on a spiritual name. That this divinity is right here. It's hearing the sound of my voice. It's looking out of your eyes. It's that energetic awareness that lights up with a smile and says, yes. Yes to this moment. Yes to this truth. Yes to this knowledge that we are all divine. That life is God. That oneness is the truth, not separation. And so this is the way forward. It's not about being who you are not. It's about being who you truly are. In the depth of your being. And I can remember it was very far along the path, even after a number of awakenings, I began to see this, that I wasn't trying to get rid of Craig anymore. I actually liked the guy. He actually had a good heart and a pure soul. And the more you wake up in this way, you begin to see that all of life is like this. That everyone is divine. They may not display it, They may be lost in their ego or confused about this thing or that thing. But when you truly look someone in the eyes, you'll see God looking back. It's funny, most of us humans, we can do this with our dogs. We can look to their eyes and see this divinity. But can we look into the mirror and see it in ourselves? Can we look out at others and see it there as well? This absolute innocence. And when you begin to see in this way, everything changes. Life begins to radically make sense. It's so overwhelmingly beautiful. Yes. And so this idea that enlightenment is only reserved for special people who wear orange robes or have their heads shaved, this is not the truth. This experience of enlightenment, this experience of true spiritual awakening, it's for all of us. It's our birthright. It literally is what we are in the depth of our being. And so this thought that it's only reserved for a chosen few, we'll make sure that's all of us are the chosen few. All of us here on earth, we are all evolving, all walking toward this greater experiential reality of the depth of what we are. It's for all of us, the ordinary, the good, the bad, the ugly, the confused, the disturbed. It's for all of us. This is the truth. And when you look out at God and you see that God, life, the universe, is a compassionate God, a loving God, she's not going to just reserve enlightenment for the few. It's a gift for all of us. It's at the core of our nature. It's the depth of our being. And so this is the ongoing invitation, is to step fully into this. To say, yes, I know deep inside there's something good here. And I'm going to discover it in this lifetime. I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to put it off. I'm not going to get confused. And if I do all those things, eventually I'm going to come back to the truth, because I have full faith that what I am is God.